You've grunged it out to living in the 90s. You've sung along with your kids to Kids Bop. You turned it up to Freedom Rock. Now, get ready for the softer side of cybersecurity with Sunsets and Snowdrifts, including all your favorite hits, like Don't Go Breaking My Encryption. Don't go breaking my encryption. I can't fight this phishing anymore. And I can't fight this phishing anymore. We will patch you. We will patch you. I want to know who logged this. I want to know who logged this. And who could forget, how am I supposed to live without VCISO? How am I supposed to live without VCISO? And who came up with this amazing compilation of cybersecurity hits, you might ask? It's your podcast host, Senior Sunset and Mr. Snowdrift, Evan and Kennedy.
Hey guys. How's it going?
Hello, Mr. Snowdrift.
I'm on fire.
Man.
I feel like we need to refresh some of those songs.
We need some more, right? We need the version 2. Although we haven't
Yeah.
gotten through a full season. You know, we can get through a full season.
That's true.
And then,
Patience.
yeah,
I think I would look
be
better
patient.
with this
The
sepia
gray.
thing or whatever I got going
I
on.
feel like you're in a Don Henley video, Evan. I don't know if that reference goes over everybody's head, but
No, I like that. I think it
Let's hope
it
not.
Eagles.
hides the cheeks, and the high blood pressure thing.
Yeah.
So it looks like I'm healthier.
I don't know. I was a 80s kid growing up on MTV. I don't know. I've seen like every video out there, I think.
Yeah.
It feels like
What was
like
the
an
one
Eagles.
with they were writing words across the screen? Was it NXS?
Oh yeah, was it written across the screen or were they holding up signs?
Maybe they're holding up signs.
Yeah, there's
Double
probably
fisting right now.
Double fist.
Yeah, they blurred it out. We can't have any endorsements of
Let's get sponsored by Monster.
I know that'd be nice. Well, so funny
Fine, I'll
story. My wife's sister, so my brother-in-law, is legal counsel for Monster. So
Really?
yeah.
I
So
can do
guys,
that.
great to see you here. I want to do a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. For those that are on the podcast with us, you have some controls down at the bottom there. There's a Q&A section there for you. Feel free to use that if you have questions. We will be answering questions live towards the end here as well. So feel free to use that. If you can hear us and see us okay, and you see Evan in his Don Henley commercial or video, and you see Michael in his wood, what do you got there? Cabin.
Pine paneling.
Pine cabin. If you could hit that raise hand button just to let me know that we're all working well. It looks like we've got some hands up there. So fantastic. Well, it's been a pretty exciting, I guess, last month. When I say exciting, pretty crazy, right? Some of the stuff going on out there. I know you guys obviously were very, very vocal around the CrowdStrike stuff. What did that look like to you guys?
It's a can of worms, man.
I know. It's one of those things, man. But yeah, a tough one because it falls on the vendor shoulders, right? I mean, this wasn't the normal stuff we talk about when we talk about news, which is typically like hacks and breaches and all that kind of stuff. This was kind of a screw up on the company side, so that's a little different.
I mean, they all blamed each other. So it's CrowdStrike blamed Microsoft. Microsoft blamed the European Union, which I thought was fucking really impressive that you could go with like a whole subset of countries. Right. It's like, hey, it's the world's fault.
Right.
And then so I mean, I have opinions, and Evan and I shared some messages that day as well.
Mhm.
But I was really more interested in what was happening afterwards. From my viewpoint, what I saw a lot of the community reaching out to each other, offering help. Um, I know, some of our team reached out to some customers that had that in their environment, and just let them know and offered help. The other side of it too is where I was very interested in what CEOs would come out and start saying that it wouldn't happen in their environments, that they were special. And I was really disappointed at a couple of CEOs that did that. Um, Especially knowing full well of their product and the history of their products and firsthand knowledge of similar failures in their products. I'm not global, what does CrowdStrike have? What, a 15% or so? 15 or 20% of the market, or there's a percentage of the market. So you
8.5 million Windows machines.
yeah. So I mean, it's like, you see the impact. Maybe those other competitors don't have the breadth of deployments that CrowdStrike does, but um, I was pretty pissed at that, to be honest. I thought that, you know, and we saw this with SolarWinds, we saw it with some of the other events in the past. It's like the finger pointing, and they're like, "Oh, it never happened to us," type stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I think one thing you pointed out, Evan,
Everybody,
was the lack of
every,
empathy that was there,
yeah,
right?
the
So,
lack of empathy. I mean, yeah.
well, I mean,
It's,
it's this is what we get, from running, for running to the cloud, right? I mean, everybody
mhm.
saw it as most people ran to the cloud, not because of maybe not necessarily the improved functionality or anything, but just because it was more convenient,
Yeah.
right? So we could just, you know, it's not uncommon for people to move to the cloud and just say, well, they'll take care of my stuff for me, you know? And you're right. It's a lack of accountability, across the board. Obviously CrowdStrike should have known better, releasing something like that, prior to, adequate testing, having those checks and balances in place. And you'd be surprised, you know, be surprised at the stuff that happens behind the scenes in organizations like that, Microsoft and CrowdStrike. They come off and they've got this reputation of being like the authority on things, and you'd be surprised at how clustered things are behind the scenes. So it didn't surprise me. I found out like Friday morning. I actually found out from my wife. I got up and looked at my phone and I saw a whole bunch of messages, but none of them were from, my team or anything. So I just figured, whatever. I have a routine in the morning where I take the dogs out and stuff. And my wife like, did you hear what happened with CrowdStrike? And I'm like, no, I didn't hear it. And then she kind of said something as I was walking out the door, and hey, kind of put two and two together, and then come back and you're like, damn, it's pretty bad. But it shows how, I mean, it's going to happen again. Not
Oh yeah.
maybe with CrowdStrike, but it'll be something else. When we put all our eggs in one basket, the fact that initially George Kurtz, said it's not a security incident. And that's where I got kind of vocal. I'm like, bullshit. It's not a security incident. It's absolutely a damn security incident. And then he later changed his remarks to say it wasn't a security attack. Okay,
Right.
maybe. But, so it's frustrating how, right out of the gate, you try the PR thing, and I get it. I mean, you're in business to make money, but the initial response was, kind of shitty. And people are still, still some parts that are still, dealing with it. Delta, the CEO, I think yesterday announced that, they're going to go after CrowdStrike for damages. I think there's a couple of class action lawsuits already out,
Yeah.
against CrowdStrike. Their product is, I mean, the thing about CrowdStrike, their product is actually pretty legit, but they've always been this marketing engine. People don't buy it because their product actually works as much as like they've got cool, cartoony robot looking things. And they say that, they protect against everything, and it's bullshit, so
Yeah.
that part pisses me off. I'm hoping that something comes out at the end, but George Kurtz has been in front of Senate hearings before and got away with, him and Kevin Mandia got away with, essential bullshit, which really pissed me off. But I don't know if anybody was listening or what. I mean, we just kind of look at these icons, in this industry that have been around for so long as like their shit doesn't stink, but all our shit stink. You know what I mean? I've been around for the same amount of time as those guys, so I've seen kind of the game. So it's frustrating. I think it's just at the end of the day, the world is confused by it all, frustrated by it all, and I think they'll just at the end of the day we won't hold anybody accountable for it, which sucks because it costs a whole shitload of money.
Yeah,
and somebody needs to pay for it.
Yeah, and it didn't just affect businesses, right? I mean, it affected people, like just about everyone. And I know I flew on Friday, just this last Friday, and they were still everything was still backed up and delayed, and you didn't know if you were going to get to where you were going. So I mean, it has a real true impact on the regular people out there, and I think that's the part that I really took from your post, Evan, was just that lack of empathy, lack of apology, lack of understanding that how this is impacting and affecting people, and we understand and we're here for you. None of that kind of talk from them, right? It was like more of very kind of scripted and yeah, just no feeling.
And it ticks me off that there's people in our industry who come to their defense.
Yeah,
it's like where I grew up and how I grew up, there's clear right and wrong. There's clear, like, if you did something wrong, you did somebody wrong, whether it was intentional or not, you still did somebody wrong.
Yeah.
Have to make amends for that. And I'm not sure, so regardless of what I think of CrowdStrike, opinion wise, what they did was wrong. It caused a shitload of damages. It hurt a lot of people and inconvenienced a lot of people. I mean, there's probably thousands and thousands of stories of how it affected people. And where I come from, you have to pay the price. I mean, it's sorry.
Yeah.
My dad used to say all the time, shitty decisions have consequences, and so you have to pay for it.
Yeah, and I think their attempt at that DoorDash, the $10 DoorDash too. There was some intent there that was right on, but just the execution is horrible. And to your point, I mean, maybe the empathy, apology a little bit, owning it.
Well, he did that later. His initial ones were, and it was crazy how many people came to the defense of that. Well, I'm sure he was advised by legal counsel. It's like, no, you don't know how breaches work. Your initial responses are always PR driven.
Right.
Not driven. You don't have enough time to really fully account for the legal stuff. Sure, legal is involved in those things, but it wasn't legal that told him not to apologize, because it was already obvious at that point where the at least a major part of the fault lies.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was pretty surprised at the I don't know, reaction on social media of different people, because I saw the joke memes and all that kind of good stuff, and I think in something this big, that's going to happen, and it is, right? The late night talk show hosts and all those folks are going to get involved and say stuff. But I was surprised that another section of social media was like saying, "Oh, that's bad and that's wrong, and you shouldn't be making fun of this. That impacted real people." That's kind of our normal thing now, right? Is like, hey, we gotta shut down anybody who's kind of having fun with something, even though, yeah, it was real, it impacted people, but I think there's a place for comedy in our, and things like that in our society. And I was really surprised at the amount of people I saw that were just kind of trying to shut all that down, which was weird, I thought. I don't know if you guys saw.
And what you miss out, I mean, that's the way some people cope with shit.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, if you've ever been in high stress situations, high intensity situations, you notice some members of the team deal with it differently. It's a mental health thing. Like, some people have to make light of it.
Make light of something,
back
right?
down into, so to tear somebody up for, obviously there's tasteful jokes and distasteful,
right.
but if
some people take it too far. We know that. Yeah.
Well, it's some of that too is like you just talked about. I mean, it's perspective, right?
Yeah.
Let's put it in perspective. Yeah. Everything came to a halt. Everything impacted. I haven't seen any stats on, the impact of anybody's lives through that. And, I'm sure there's a loss of money, a loss of time, all of those things. But, I deal with that with, Microsoft goes, there's 365 goes down every afternoon. Comcast Xfinity is going down,
Mhm.
at 3 o'clock and blurts out, you know,
What was it?
um,
What was it yesterday? Microsoft unusual spike in user activity.
yeah,
It's like it's a DDoS attack. And
what, yeah.
fact that you have, I mean, I can't imagine the budget that you would have to mitigate DDoS attacks in Azure. And they said
Oh
that
my
they had,
gosh.
they had mitigations, but the mitigations didn't work. It's like, man, it's crazy that you can provide. I mean, only in this world where we're at right now, you can provide a service that might work, might not work. And you've got, some systems in those environments that are critical systems. I mean, like life systems.
Yep.
And it's like, yeah, well, whatever. I mean, there's just no consequences for producing shitty software with terrible network architectures. The fact that you could even push, on the CrowdStrike thing, the fact that you could even push an update like that without proper measures in place,
Mhm.
you know, it's
Well, how do
like
you guys
gun
think?
safety. One of the things of gun safety, right? They teach you,
Oh yeah, yeah.
trigger,
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
put your,
exactly.
Yep. Don't.
you don't run around with a gun with your damn finger on the trigger.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. How do you guys think as a whole our industry kind of reacted to it? Do you think that more people did the right things or thought down the right lines, or was there just too much finger pointing? And I mean, I imagine it impacted, the anyone selling it, obviously, their customers are going to be the ones contacting them and wanting, refunds or issues. I don't know how that impacted either Ostra or FR even, but um, I imagine we didn't have a lot of information around what had happened and why. But how do you think everyone kind of reacted to it, and what were the overarching things? Is there something to learn from all this? At least from not them, but us, our industry.
Well, I mean, 30 years in this industry, man, there's always something to learn in every one of these breaches. But over and over and over again, we don't take advantage of that opportunity. I mean, SolarWinds was a great opportunity to do
Mhm.
egress filtering on your damn firewall. It's not like rocket science that
It's
your
not
firewall
fucking
is not
hard.
actually configured
It's
correctly.
not. It's not
And
hard.
here we are, and so that's the frustrating part. And I'm jaded for sure, because we've just been down this path so many times,
Yeah.
and sure, not at this breadth, not this same particular detail, but yeah, bad things. And you could see this bad thing was coming down the road, and you can see more bad things coming on down the road. So it's like either do something about it or don't. But I think people get in this kind of comfort, like, well, but that would be work. I'd have to configure stuff right. It's like, but you get paid for that shit. You should configure stuff right.
Yeah.
So until we
I did.
get serious about this and get like a real like mentality that I'm going to do my job correctly and be a professional that I am, nothing's going to change.
I did see they didn't sign CISA's pledge, secure by design too. They're not on the list when I looked, but I saw a lot of I thought it was pretty interesting because I was trolling for the negative comments, and I just kept seeing a lot of industry people talking to each other around, hey, if you're struggling here, here's what you do. Here's some actions. Here we have a tool to solve for it. Here's where you go get the code. This is how you fix it. So I saw a lot of it felt like for me that first 2 days, it felt like there was a lot of community that was stepping up to kind of to try to help in certain ways. Um, so I guess I tried to pay attention to that piece throughout
Mhm.
it. So which I thought was pretty good. And, I like to see us have more of a community and help each other versus trying to cut each other down and blame. And if you would have had our product, I did see some of that as well. It's like, oh, it didn't happen to us because we have da 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 da, and this is why we're on this
Right.
tool stack. And it's like, okay,
It could have
we'll
happened
just
to
wait
anybody,
fucking six
right?
months and
Yeah.
you're gonna
Oh
implode.
yeah. I mean, there's the
So
taking advantage of it for your own personal
yeah,
gain. Yeah, that's 100% crap.
yeah.
But there are times when it makes sense to beat somebody down. I mean, when you cause this much disruption, this much problem, this many problems for this many people, because the way it works every time, right? People think,
Mhm.
well, and I think one of the reasons why people don't get really bent out of shape about breaches is because they feel like, well, it didn't really hurt, right?
Oh,
Because the way the way breaches work and the way this will work too is the costs are all distributed. So no one person is gonna, I'm not gonna go bankrupt
mm,
personally because of this. But every business that gets affected by this is a business that's in business to make money, right? So they're not going to lose money. They'll raise fees. They'll recover the money some way. And so it comes like this whole community ends up, you talk about community, the whole community ends up paying for somebody else's negligence.
true. Yep.
And I don't want to pay for it anymore. I'm tired of it because these things are basics. These are fundamentals. We're supposed to be professionals. And I understand we make mistakes.
Mm.
I get that, right? But I mean, just because you get that I make mistakes doesn't mean that I don't need to pay for my mistakes.
Yeah, you need to be held accountable to those,
I
right?
mean, I drive my truck and I cross over the center line. I didn't intend to cross over the center line and I didn't intend to do that, but I need to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's the risk we take when we do what we do. So I do
Well,
like
they
the
are
community
offering
coming
$10
together to
gift
fix these
cards.
things up after it happens. But where's the community in demanding better from big tech?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. So you mentioned cloud earlier and the kind of rush to cloud and that sort of thing. And I think that's an interesting take on all of this. Do you think that more people will start looking back to Prem then, or is that just we way past that at this point?
You're talking to a tech guy, man. I'm all about Prem. I like seeing my stuff. I like seeing the
Yeah.
blinky lights. I like to touch it. It's
You like to
and
push
I
your own
don't trust
updates,
and I don't trust other people to configure my shit
right?
Right.
because who would I trust with it? You know?
Yeah,
Uh,
your data is where, right? I mean, you could say it's somewhere and you can,
I mean, it doesn't mean I
yeah,
don't use the cloud. I do use the cloud, but
sure.
I use the cloud for things that aren't really critical to me for the most part. You
Yeah, it'll
can't
be
use
interesting
the
to
cloud
see if
now.
more people start, kind of taking a look again at on-prem and if anybody starts going that direction. I think way too early to know. I
Yeah.
don't know, that I believe there was a rush to cloud per se. I feel like it's been a natural progression over time, but maybe in certain, levels of business, maybe there's been a rush to get there. But
We also have a people problem there as well, right? Not having the people that can look at the blinky lights, configure it, touch it, go into the data center, reboot it if needed, patch,
Mhm.
that type of, and then the reliance upon that third party to take care of all that for you.
Yeah.
So it's, it's not just having it on-prem, but yeah, and I agree with you, Frank. I think it's too early to tell.
Mhm.
I'm the same thing. I don't like my stuff in the cloud. I don't like my stuff talking to the cloud.
Yeah, you can maintain a lot more control and security
Yeah.
over something that you can see and touch and feel.
Right. Yeah,
Uh,
right. It's what is that the
right.
old line, it's cloud is just somebody else's computer, right? And so, I wouldn't take my financial data and walk it across to the neighbor and put it,
Yeah.
on a USB stick and say, here you go, you can store this for me. I'll let you know when I need it.
But it's funny, all those are essentially selling points to were selling
Right?
points to the cloud, right? It's like, oh, it's more secure, it's off-prem, it's like all this stuff, which is
More
funny,
secure. How
right?
is it more secure?
Yeah, it was just, things that were said.
Oh, I
Um,
know, I know.
but and all of this brings us back to, we talk a lot on this podcast about truth insecurity, telling the truth and being transparent and all these. And, here's another good example of where a company really could have stepped up and said, look, this is what happened. This is what we're doing. We're really sorry. We see that it's impacting all these people, and really, been upfront with that. And, that kind of leads us into, as an industry whole, we're just not there, right? I mean, we need more companies like, Security Studio, FR, and Ostra, who are like, we're going to tell the truth. This is part of our mission statement. Um, how do we get there? Like, what do we do to get other companies to truly believe that? How do we do that, Michael?
Hold them accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's gonna hurt.
Yeah. Make it hurt. Hold them
I mean,
accountable.
people only do things. I mean, psychologically, people only do things. Either they do them just without even thinking, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of that sheep herd mentality. They do it because they see an advantage for themselves in it, right? So what do I get for it? Everybody always asks, what's in it for me? And the
Mhm.
third is it hurts too much.
Mm-hmm.
So, I don't know, give them an advantage for doing things. I don't know, because like you think CrowdStrike, you can't tell me that this wasn't ever brought up internally. Like, we should be really careful about pushing updates 4 times, 5 times a day, that something bad could happen.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't like, oh shit, we never thought that was ever going to happen. I mean, and they somewhere somebody made a decision to not address that risk. I mean, it has to be. I mean, as I'm doing the work I'm doing, designing things, it's like, what if, and then you test the shit out of it, and you know what I mean? And I don't have billions of dollars to work through that shit. I mean, they're smart people.
No.
They're really
Big
smart. I
code.
mean, I think CrowdStrike is a ton of really, really smart people, but a ton of shady business people who use it to their advantage too.
You think that's size of organization, or do you think it's them specifically?
I mean, I hate to call out names, but it starts with the CEO.
The culture you set, the shadow you cast. Yeah.
What do you guys think they'll weather this storm? Do you think it's
Oh yeah.
yeah?
Hmm.
I mean,
Yeah.
they're a household name at this point, right? I mean,
Oh, for
maybe
sure.
not for, the best reasons, but
Well, it was the same with FireEye too, and SolarWinds, right? The finger pointing that went around. It was Microsoft. It was Mandiant, FireEye. Nobody had really heard of FireEye before that, and then they became a household name. Kevin as well.
And
He
then they
was in.
call them up to they don't call like unbiased people to testify in Senate
Right.
committee hearings. They call
Right.
like, after the SolarWinds, they called, because that was, obviously a really big one. They called Kevin Mandia from FireEye. They called the new CEO from SolarWinds. They called the president of Microsoft, and they called George Kurtz, the CEO of CrowdStrike. Those were the 4 people. And, and as I'm thinking through it and watching it, I'm like, these guys don't represent
Mm-mm.
most security people. You know what I mean? They have this like view here, and they're not unbiased, and they're motivated by something different. So, I think, through this, he's already been called, for committee hearings and, whatever, but it'll be the
Mhm.
same kind of, dance.
Right.
CrowdStrike is so integrated too with the US government, as is Microsoft, as is FireEye. It'll be bad.
yeah,
Don't
no
do it again.
change. No change, yeah.
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 Well, you might.
Let's get to what you were talking though, about Mike, about your truth in cyber,
Truth,
man.
truth in cyber.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah.
Ostra has recently you're putting out an initiative, and you were talking about a pledge earlier. And I think you got your hand slapped for talking about it on an earlier podcast once. But
Yeah, a couple of
yeah,
months
we'd love to
ago,
hear
I got a
about
lot of trouble.
yeah, what you guys cooked up over there. I know this. I remember this was around this started around some conversations we were having around dinner one night, I believe.
Yep. So, a couple of years ago, it started a couple of years ago. I had this. I was really extremely frustrated with this dishonesty that I was seeing from MSPs, other cybersecurity providers, industry stuff, Evan, you talk about this, fixing the broken industry, and what can we do as a whole? And so, where initially it came out, I would thought about like, we need more transparency. We need to be transparent and authentic in this industry, and then that morphed into like to your point, Frank, around I think one dinner one night we started talking about this truth in cyber, being honest, using the same definitions to words, or at least similar, um and having that transparency as throughout that, the authenticity. So we started a truthincyber.org. Yeah, I mentioned to Evan a couple of months ago, and we accidentally dropped it on the podcast. And so if you paid attention,
First lesson of the CB's first lesson of the.
so the uh what we have out there is Truth in Cyber. It's a pledge. We're looking for, other vendors, our partners, organizations that want to kind of continue that motto that we all, three of our companies live by, and that mission before money and doing things differently. So it really kind of morphed out of some of that. There's this line in the MSP space that where there's mystery, there's margin. And where, somebody started it with the idea of that, as an MSP, I couldn't sell hardware anymore. So let's start creating mystery in the other work that we do so that we can gain margin. Just right away, kind of that dishonesty in the marketing tactics, dishonesty in the sales, and what you're providing. I've seen it in providers, confusing people with SKUs. We've actually had a competitor of ours tell lies about us to customers because they were losing a deal to us. And customer called up and said, these guys said this. I'm like, that's fantastic. They're lying about us because now we're on the radar. But that piece of, um, at our core as a company, we might not be the right fit for you, and there might be another product or solution that would be better and a better fit, pricing, capabilities, whatever. And we can't bash our competitors just to win a deal. We have to be honest and transparent through that stuff. So, our goal is really to kind of push this out, have, get awareness, recognition behind it. We talk about some of that community, have some of this community around, having truth in cyber, and hopefully just, as Ostra is kind of a founding sponsor, being a part of it, but then move it out of Ostra. We'll have some stickers at the Hacks and Hops for everybody to stick on their laptops. We have a pledge that we're asking people to kind of sign up for, and then there's like a welcome kit you get as a part of it, with some badging and whatnot as a Truth in Cyber partner. But it's really just that goal or that pledge that as an organization, we're not going to take advantage of our customer base. We're not going to lie to try to make money. We're going to be transparent. We're gonna live by honesty through this stuff. And those other things will come when we need to. So, and then hopefully one day it's all over the place, and we have, large organizations as an industry that are a part of it. So.
Yeah, I like that idea. I mean, it's almost like taking an oath to do things the right way, right? And to be better. I mean, at the end of the day, we can all be better. And I think, it's interesting when we talk about the, mystery, in,
Yep.
in all this. I love the story that you tell about, just the mystery and margin story. And I think you can't confuse that with, also just we've taught in managed services, especially in the sales process, that it's not about line iteming everything and showing everything that you do, because a lot of customers don't understand all the pieces that go into a good stack of services, right?
Right. Yep.
And
Correct.
so when we sell on this idea of protection and taking care of them and things like that, which I don't want people to confuse like that kind of methodology of sales with mystery and margin, because those are not two of the same thing. And mystery and margin is I am purposely leaving things out and not telling people about things to uh, get gain, essentially,
Even
to
if it's
gain
not,
an edge.
even if it's not on purpose, it's amazing how many people in this industry are just incompetent.
Oh yeah. Yep.
You see things, you see even, industry experts who give advice. It's like, oh my God, it's so I think, there's the purposeful, like I'm misleading somebody.
Mhm.
And then, we call it lies of commission and lies of omission. I mean, there's times when you do things that you think are right, but they ain't right.
Yeah.
So, because there's a lot of damage caused in our industry too by people giving advice that they think is the correct advice, but it causes, havoc.
Great.
I.e., Kevin Mandia saying it depends. That might have
Yeah.
been purposeful. That might not have been, but either way, it was the
Right.
wrong advice.
Well, it's a lot of misunderstanding and
Yep.
not knowing, and then being in front of people and trying to educate. I mean, this goes back, Mike. We see this all the time as we go out on
Oh
the
yeah.
road in front of MSPs. Is this idea that every MSP should be an MSSP, right? And it's like, I know that has to frustrate you guys on the Ostra side when someone's like, I'm an MSSP. Well, do you run your own
Right.
SOC? Do you have a SIM? Do you have these services in place? That's got to drive you crazy, right? But and which is, why we kind of made that middle ground thing, MCSP. But it's like it's the same thing. It's like people are just kind of saying things, and that's being taken as the truth or as knowledge, and a lot of people just don't know what they're talking about at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
My my fa
I mean,
my
this
fa
is such an intimidating industry. Who
yeah,
feels comfortable admitting that they don't know what the hell they're
right,
talking
or
about?
calling someone out, right?
I do.
Yeah.
The
So, like, you have to create a place where people feel comfortable,
safe. Yep.
saying, I don't know. I mean, I was in that, I always use that example of, you know, the Blue Ribbon Commission for the state of Minnesota. And, one of the people there was like pitching zero trust. And the CISO at the time asked him, where do I get started with zero trust? And the guy didn't have an answer. So I almost felt like sorry for them for not knowing an answer to that question. But then I also felt anger because why the hell are you talking about something that you don't understand? There's
Mhm.
lots of shit I don't understand. Get me to talk about, like right now I'm working on Celery. Celery, which is a task engine for this code. And I'm like, I don't know shit about Celery,
Mhm.
but man, I'm trying to learn. But it's okay to not know things. It's
Right.
really you when you put this into perspective, at the end of the day, information security is not about information or security, it's about people.
Mhm.
And so it's almost like a doctor, didn't know any better. I'm not a gynecologist. But I'm going to give you some advice for gynecology. I didn't intend to hurt you, but you're probably going to die. We do a lot of that in our industry.
Yeah. My favorite is the use of the word remediate.
Remediate.
Mhm.
Yeah. Everybody remediates.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then nobody really asks, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I take care of things for you. Or no, I tell you, hey, or whatever. There's a lot of those definitions of those
Oh
words.
yeah.
Just example you said that somebody gets up there and sells that we do XYZ, and turns out no, they don't do any of that shit.
Mhm.
Or yes, it's 450 to 650 an hour on top of your already agreement.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's it. That's the other one is I love hearing up there is, oh yeah, we'll run our automated pen test. Or they don't even say automated, right? They say pen test. We'll do X number of pen tests for every one of your customers. It's like, do you guys know what a pen test is really?
no,
Like,
Nessus,
um,
baby.
yeah, so that's always interesting to me too, is like this just you're right, the words that are used and describe things like remediate and pen test and all of these just either they're not understood or it's almost like misleading, right? At the end of the day, which I think all comes back to this truth in cyber thing, which I think is
yep,
a fantastic idea because really everyone needs to get better at, you know, not only in what they're providing to their customers, but even us on the vendor side of what services we're providing to our partners and things like that of using the right names or terms or not calling it something that it's not, those kinds of things which I think come into play as well.
for sure. What
What's
are you
the
eating?
URL? Did we say it
Truth,
yet?
truthincyber.org, O-R-G.
Cyber.org. I'm going to throw that in
I'm going right now.
the chat
Did I
here.
sign it
Truth
yet?
in cyber.
No, you haven't, but Security Studio did on behalf of you,
Oh,
I
there.
I
think.
put it in there. I didn't check to see if it actually went somewhere or not. I'll do that
I
now.
accept your cookies.
Thank you.
Yeah, sign the pledge. There you go.
As you can
Nice.
tell, I'm hungry, so I'm eating.
What are you having? What are you eating?
I don't know. Somebody brought it up here to me. It's like I don't know, chicken in a tortilla thing and something.
Oh, quesadilla.
Man, that's nice. Just food appears.
Hector.
It's
Well, I
amazing.
don't know if you guys know this, but I'm kind of the boss around here.
Oh, that's it.
Yeah. But let's not repeat that to my wife, nor show
No.
this footage to my wife.
Right. I was gonna say, I think, yeah, I think
Because
you're
Or Marla.
any bossage I just had is just out the door.
Yep,
right.
gone.
Yeah.
I think we
No,
all have that.
I'm really grateful for people in my life.
Yeah.
So this is really cool, man. And this was released when?
Today.
Today.
Now,
Today is
this
the
is
Yep.
the
launch
launch,
of
man.
said
This is the
Launch
launch.
today.
cyber.org.
Well, it's been up for a while. We pre-launched it accidentally a couple of months ago, but then launched today. And then over the next bit, I think over the next couple of months, there's some campaigns. We'll have some stuff going out on LinkedIn. We'll have some other conversations about it as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'd
What
highly recommend
what can
everybody
people
goes and
do to help?
yeah.
Promote,
Okay.
just promote it, comment on it. Obviously sign the pledge. So that the more people that we get in there, the more we have. Um,
Only
can,
sign the
and
pledge if you freaking are gonna live by it. Don't sign it just to sign it because that's stupid.
all, all this shit we talked about today too, right? Honesty,
Right.
self-awareness, transparency, accountability, being accountable for your actions, apologizing where you need to, being transparent in the conversation, having self-awareness. So, when you're an asshole, just know you're an asshole and kind of, apologize and take accountability for it. So,
Right.
and that first piece for me is always the way I live my life. We talked about this kind of somewhat on our first podcast of our paths and very similar and where I lived in my life to where I have today, and the core principle of that is living by honesty. So that drives a lot of this. So yeah, promote it, and then I think we're gonna be doing a few things with it over the next couple of months. Really, it's going to. Um, I think it hacks and hops. We're gonna have some stuff about it there too. Maybe some stickers for everybody to grab, stick on all their laptops, devices. So
Yeah, so Hacks
really,
and Hops is coming up pretty quick here too. Is that's in September, right, Evan? Something like
yep.
that. September 14th, I think, if I remember correctly. That that was off the top of my head.
Um,
Another great event everyone can join in on. So if you haven't gotten tickets for that, you might want to check that out.
time management, scheduling, and details are none of my strengths.
Marlis has it on the calendar for you already.
Right. Show up here on this day, get on this plane, go there,
I just signed the pledge.
Sweet.
Awesome.
Thank you much.
So yeah, if you guys
What's your
want to
vision for this thing?
Yeah.
Everybody asked that.
Well, then you should have for it by now, Mike.
Yeah. Well, my answer is I don't know.
Yeah.
The big answer is I want to change. I want to change this industry. I want people to adopt these four principles and how they do business, and as a community and industry, we hold people accountable to it. And that customers can come and see a badge on your website or you're a part of it and be able to, trust you. We talk a lot about what is that? Likability, credibility, and trust. And I want to build the likability, and you talk about this leveraging somebody else's credibility until you can get credibility, putting that piece on this as well. It leans credibility to you as an organization that you're part of something that where you're going to be honest and accountable. And then,
Oh, wait a second. You have to have likability for this?
Yes, you get it automatically.
Really?
Yep.
Might be screwing up the integrity.
You start likable.
You're a beautiful person, and everybody I know would agree to that. So stop it.
Stop it. I love it, man. And so it's I'm excited to see where you guys take it, and I can help. You know what I mean? I'm all behind it because there's the one thing is to sign the pledge, but then also like you got to live by the pledge.
Live it.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
There's lots of people that ask any CEO, do you take information security seriously? Every single one of them say, yeah, absolutely, I do. Do you?
Right. There's a few that are going to be testifying in front of Congress that might probably have to change their answer to that.
So I think I'm an idea guy too, so it's like as you're creating your vision for this, I think implementing some method of accountability here too, to be able to, and you gotta have like, specific rules, right? So it's black and white that you broke the pledge. You know what I mean? And so
yeah, that's true. It's a good point.
That's got to come at the right time, because if you do it now, then some people they may not sign the pledge.
Right. Kick you out in the future.
Yeah, it speaks to the mission though of fix the broken industry, and really it's another thing we can do to really help in that mission. I'd love to see Michael we go to an event, whatever event it is, and on the table of every vendor, this little truth in cyber plaque or something that every vendor stands by and says, look, we're going to tell the truth and do this. I mean, that would be a amazing goal to have, not only for the partners and those that we work with, but put it on the vendors too, just that, hey, you need to be doing this. This is something that everybody should have, and should have that on their wear it proudly, right?
I'd love to go around and take them away from them and break them over my leg when
you didn't do this.
That's another thing, man. I mean, I would think at some point it probably makes sense to have like a public roster of people that have signed the pledge. So,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, that's like CISA did with their
don't do anything else that CISA did. Don't do anything else.
Oh, wow. Okay, fine.
This is the federal government, man. They're gonna crack down on you so fast. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But because then you could almost like badge it with a unique ID. So then if I put it on and I click it, it shows my my status.
Oh, that's a great idea.
I'm an idea guy, man. I can't do anything. I just come up with ideas.
Stacy's gonna have a panic attack right about now.
How do I do that? Yeah, our badging stuff that we do, I think has that kind of stuff. So she can always reach out to Sarah on our side.
Yep, for sure.
Um,
Then we could create a whole bunch of bots to just kind of poke around and find out if people are breaking the pledge.
Oh yeah, that's a
there you
great
go.
idea.
Bots.
Come out now.
Now you guys are
Let's
going down
let's
the
stop. We got to get
dirty
people to
route.
sign up, get sign up, want to do this. Now we're scaring everybody away. We'll do that stuff next year.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I hope everybody goes out to truthandcyber.org that's listening and, checks that out and signs the pledge. It is something that everyone here is super passionate about and truly believes in. And it starts with every single one of us, doing that, taking that first step and saying, we're just going to do better. And we always can do better. Right. So, no matter what it is, even if it's one thing in that pledge that we can do better, um, we really want to do that.
Yeah.
We haven't had any questions come in yet. If anybody out there, if you have any thoughts on Truth in Cyber, if you have any thoughts on CrowdStrike or anything else that's going on out there that you'd like to talk about, we got a few minutes to open that up. So if you'd like to throw something on the Q&A, we'd love to hear from you.
Or share an opinion. Share an opinion.
Yeah, for sure. We love to go down that road because it really does. It's really good to hear from pretty much anyone and hear different opinions and different thoughts on different stuff that's going on out there, and maybe how's the CrowdStrike thing impacted you or your business, or dealing with your customers, or what are your customers asking, about all of this, because those are some of the things that we don't always care about, right? When we're not right in the mix, like how is this impacting them? Those types of things.
If you don't want to talk about that, we can talk about something controversial, like what town in the United States has the best barbecue?
I do like that.
What town in the United States has the best barbecue? Hmm.
You
Gotta
start
go
at
down
the
to the herd
state
up front.
level and then you come down from there. State, city, town.
California sucks.
Yeah.
California
We'll
does
take,
suck at barbecue.
yep. Sorry, Frank.
Matthew said his town. So wherever that is, it's his town, my
It's in
town.
Minnesota somewhere. I'll tell you, my
Yeah.
opinion is Memphis.
Mm.
Matthew said he's barbecuing.
Oh,
So his town.
I
Yes.
gotta
I like
check where
that.
lights are
I
to
like
wherever Matt is.
I like the Texas Austin or Austin area.
Yeah.
New Braunfels, Bastrop, all that kind of on that side. You get the hole in wall, Texas.
How about Dallas?
No,
No, no,
no,
you don't know one, or no, you just they're out.
no.
Oh,
I don't
not
think
really.
Dallas has. I mean, there's good places like Party 8. I'll go there.
Yeah. A
But
really good
Pecan
barbecue
Lodge
there.
is really good in Dallas.
yeah, but if you're going to tell me the best, I'm going to tell you Austin. Or I'm gonna agree with Matthew. My house. I
We're
make
gonna go to
everything good.
Memphis in May, me and you someday, Mike, before we die.
Okay, get some hot.
That's the
We
World
get,
Championship of barbecue every May.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
And
you
if
Google
everyone doesn't
Memphis in May,
know, Evan's kind of an expert on barbecue. He went on a full tour of most of the United States looking for the best barbecue.
expert in
Uh,
eating it.
yes, yes.
What
Not
a-
cooking it. No,
I
that's not
just I just signed a damn pledge, Frank. I can't be saying I'm an expert.
Well, you're more of an expert if you've gone on a road tour where you try pretty much every barbecue you can find
Everyone I could
up and
find
down the
was,
states,
that was such a great trip, man.
I'll
So
give you expert status there. At least I'll look to you for advice.
yeah. So if you go to memphisinmay.org, that's
MemphisandMay.org.
Yeah, that's the barbecue competition.
yep.
Nice.
National barbecue competition.
World Championship Barbecue Cooking Contest.
Wow,
Down, man.
Yeah.
that would be pretty good. I did one up here at Mystic Lake once.
You
That
were
was
going to
pretty
say
good.
Mistake Lake, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Sorry, up at Mistake Lake. Um, that was a lot of fun. I learned a ton. We had a friend that was in doing the competition, so going and seeing him cook his chicken and then talk about the ribs and how to, like, when you bite a rib, you're supposed to see your teeth marks in the rib, and so that's a winning. and then his chicken too, boneless chicken thighs, and how they smoke those.
Here's the
Just
next question for you. Dry rub or sauce?
dry.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I love sauce though. I do love me some sauce.
Oh, since we're on this topic of
Then
meat,
Frank, you'd say St. Louis. That's your favorite place then. They slather it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. St. Louis, not bad, but
There you go.
we got another vote for dry rub.
Ben vouches for Matt Udovich's barbecue. So
Yeah. We did have a comment come in. Matt commented, said having the CrowdStrike and CDK event stack for our clients and verticals has been an eye-opening learning experience, and one where predators are now rearing their heads. He said the pledge is very timely. So just a comment there.
Yeah, for sure.
That's another thing we haven't talked a lot about is what are attackers learning in all of this?
Yeah.
Some really good intel.
You got some stuff in your beard.
I know.
Yeah, just food for later, right?
Yeah. Well, the intel for sure, and all of the susceptibility behind it too, right? Hey, I'm with CrowdStrike here. I'm here to work on your machine.
Well, and predators could be everything. It could be, obviously attackers. It could be, sales predators that are coming in trying to take over your business. And oh, you're on CrowdStrike. Your partner obviously doesn't like you very much or something, or they're not giving you the best thing. I mean, there's so many predatory tactics that are probably occurring right now with that.
Yeah, and that goes back to did your provider communicate? Did your provider step up and was there? I know a lot of MSPs that had customers with CrowdStrike, and they rolled up their sleeves and took care of it.
Yeah.
They took accountability and said this is, and and I asked them afterwards too, the same comment, will CrowdStrike lose business? Will you move away from CrowdStrike? And they said no. We're not, the tool works phenomenal. We might lose a customer here or there, but then we're probably going to gain a customer here or there too, where they're going to want a different tool. But somebody's going to move to the next cloud solution and have a problem then too.
Well, the truth is, I mean, this attack vector, just considering this attack vector, CrowdStrike's the best place to do business right now.
Yeah.
There will be other, and there are lots of other attack vectors on this, but it was like after the Target breach, I got asked a lot about, well, would you still shop at Target? And I'm like, hell yeah, now is the best time to shop at Target. Right. You'll get sales, right? Because they got discounts on everything. Plus, everybody's watching the front. Beautiful.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, no shit. You got a renewal right now. Beat them up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go for that discount. All that leverage they had, they've lost some of it.
Yeah, I said it earlier, but I think a $10 gift card, is that what they were offering?
Yeah, that didn't work.
Yeah.
There was a few that I talked to a couple of people about that too, that got them. They gave away $10 DoorDash gift cards to the people on the front lines doing the work. So the techs, the MSPs that they get, and then what happened was that when you went to redeem it, so $10, it's like what, one Starbucks and a couple extra bucks.
That's the DoorDash fee, I think.
Yeah, the DoorDash fee on top of the DoorDash fee on top of it. Dash recognized it, called it as fraud and canned it all. So you get this email, apologies, thank you for your effort, da 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 da. Here's a $10 DoorDash gift card you can use, and then. So first of all, everybody thought it was a scam, and then when they realized it was real, and then they went to go use it, and it broke.
Well, it reminds you of Equifax. Equifax did that same stupid and it ended up being a PR disaster, right? Because they offered everybody credit monitoring through their own, service, and they set up a website that was like equifaxbreach.com that it was brand new. So every reputation engine in the world was tagging it as, potentially fraudulent. It was like, man, so then everybody's thinking, well, great, Equifax is phishing all their customers now, essentially.
Right. Right. Crazy. Oh, yeah, we'll leave it. We're coming up on the top of the hour. Matt just said fear sales are spiking. buy my snake oil and you'll be protected. So yeah, we're going to see a lot of that.
Well, and here's
Yeah,
one
for
piece
sure.
of advice. Honestly, the best solution that you need isn't some shit that you can buy. It never has been. It never will
No.
be. Focus on the fundamentals and the basics. They're not sexy. It's hard work. No software on the planet is ever going to fix it for you. You have to fix it. So don't buy anything right now, until you know what you got.
Yeah.
Right.
I love leaving on that, man. That's a fantastic piece of advice. Everybody, thank you so much. Thanks, guys, for jumping on today. Go to truthincyber.org, get signed up for that, take that pledge, and really great information today, guys. Thanks so much. And until next time, have a great one.
Yep. See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care, you guys.